But so what I have found is that um, so kind of studying leadership independently and going to leadership classes, um, it really I really understand what makes people tick, and I have an appreciation for people of all backgrounds, socioeconomic backgrounds, race, religion, ethnicity, geographic location. So it really, I have an appreciation and kind of a non-judgmental approach toward people. Um, so that I think that just knowing that information from my background is really helpful. Um, I don't remember what the original question was.
Strengths and weaknesses.
Oh, so that's one of my strengths. Um, I guess some of my weaknesses, and I'm always trying to overcome those, is just the different perspectives on actual leadership, because I've read a lot of books, and I talk to other people about leadership who are interested in leadership. So I don't have any formal training on it other than just going to classes and reading and studying. So my strength is, at the end of the day, I understand why people do what they do and how to get them to behave differently, which I guess really is a lot of leadership. But I'm trying to work on that. I'm considering going back and getting an MBA or something, a degree like that, to really have more leadership background. But my strength is definitely understanding people. So the goal was to understand why older adults do what they do, but you have to go through the whole life process to get to that point. So
you said that you read a lot of books on leadership,
Mhm.
but was there anything else you did to help prepare you to become this leadership position right now?
So in this field, you have to have a license to run a nursing home. So I took a couple of classes to pass, or to be able to know what the regulations were and to pass the federal and state exams. I also, so you look at things differently when you just have one department, and then you go and you oversee all of the departments, including your old home department. Excuse me. So when I go to conferences and things about our discipline, I try to talk to directors of nursing, maintenance, or this is what I did kind of in preparation. I talked to other administrators just to kind of see to them what was important in a leader, to see what was the most effective. So I kind of got some knowledge ahead of time to be able to make that transition as smooth as possible.
And then if you could change one thing about your style of leadership for the betterment of yourself or your team, what would it be?
I'm very I'm slow to make a decision, and that's because it's important to me to consider different perspectives, and most of the decisions that I make are not immediate in the moment decisions. They're like we talk about how to handle a difficult situation or that's come up in our building, or think about what decisions to make to help us move into the future. So I'm not very good at, when something happens in the moment, I don't know what to do. Don't tell anybody that. And I don't, and a lot of that's because my experience has been, when you see something, you only see just like a piece. I hate the analogy of the iceberg, but you see the tip of the iceberg. You don't see the rest of the iceberg under the water. So I'm very slow to react to something, but then you have to be able to take control of a situation for the safety and well-being of your facility and your residents. So I would say if I was a better leader, I would be more prepared for what to do in the moment. And I'm not, this is I don't have words for it, but you just come down the hall, those people, like I tend to be someone who comes down the hall and it's more of a positive, like showing staff what they do well. So I don't come down on staff for, your bed's not made, you got tissues on the floor, your residents have food on their faces. Because I think that if you just come down the hall, no matter what you see on the floor, the staff has done a lot of good work that day, and so if you just come down the hall and you point out all the negative things, then they feel unappreciated, and it's like all the good things that they did are meaningless because their one resident had food on their face, and you don't know why the resident had food on their face. Maybe they didn't want their face washed or whatever. So, I'm not very good at addressing things that come up as they happen. Or a lot of times when I see the big things, I just tell their department heads, this is something you need to focus on. Because it's usually, if something's not being done right, I don't want to just come up and say, your resident's face is dirty. I want to say, what's going on in the department that your staff doesn't understand how important it is that their residents are clean? What is it that is keeping us from serving trays on time? You don't just go up and scream to the line server, where the hell are your, where are your trays? Your food is late. You want to get at the process. So I often also delegate, they probably hate that about me, but I often, I do my audits and I just give them back to the managers and this is what you need to work on in your department. So, but I'm trying to get better at that.
And then we have one more question that we probably should have asked at the beginning.
Oh, that's okay.
How many staff members do you have in the facility, and then how many report directly to you?
People ask me that a lot, and I never know. So first, I know how many staff we have. At any time, we have about 155 staff that work directly for us. So we also have total people who work in our building every day that I'm responsible for the care, what they do. In some shape or form, we have 200. So we have two, we call them vendors or contractors that do work for us. One is our therapy contractor. But at the end of the day, it's still my license that carries any work that they do to our residents. And then our housekeeping group is about 20 employees, and they are a separate entity that we pay separately. But I'm, of course, still responsible for the work that they do. So, and we don't treat them any differently other than that we don't pay them directly. We pay their organization, and their organization pays them. And then direct report. So we have HR, finance, social services, nursing, housekeeping, maintenance, therapy, food service. So I guess about 8 people that directly report to me, and then they run various size departments. Our biggest departments are nursing has 100 employees, and food service has 20 or so. But then a lot of people who are kind of in upper mid-level leadership, like social services, nursing, those 2 departments, they have very professional high-up support people in their department. So social workers, there's just 5 of them total, 5 or 6 now. But then nursing has a couple of nurse managers that are high up in leadership, so I interact with them quite a bit as well, just giving them guidance and helping them figure things out. So, yeah.
And then before we kind of close this off, is there anything that we haven't asked you that you feel would be beneficial for us or our classmates to know?
So what's the point of your project? Is it just learning about leadership, or
learning about the leadership styles, kind of how to guide a group, I guess, in a way.
And then how that applies to an actual professional setting.
Okay. I don't know. I think it's really important to study leadership, teamwork. You're losing your video. I think it's really important to study it and just kind of learn and grow constantly. This is where I'm really geeky. It's my personal goal to read something either directly about leadership or teamwork, kind of what makes people tick, or our industry. It's my goal to read one book about that a month. And so if you just think 20 or 30 minutes a day, most days, it's really important because it's a really good leader can read something and see the good and the bad in it and the suggestions. So I think it's really important to continue to let your leadership style grow and develop over time, and to even preemptively start to study that before you take on a leadership role, because very few people are prepared for it. And then be sure to have other people that, if you become a leader, have other people that you can network with to talk about things, because I joke with my other friends in this industry, it's very lonely at the top. So what you don't want to do, and I don't want to liken it to parenthood, but sometimes it feels like being a single parent. Like there are a lot of demands and difficult situations that it would be inappropriate. It would be a boundary violation for me to disclose the struggles that I have or the concerns that I have with my own team back to my team. Like if I'm going to share something with the team, I need to share it with the whole team or nobody. So I never want to go down the road of having one or two people that are confidants and I give them sort of privileged information, or even just, I just don't think it's, parents don't tell you when you're 5 what they struggle with or like how they want to choke you. So I think it's helpful to have other people in the industry who you can just talk to about stuff like that, or like just even a close friend. Most of my friends are in some other level of other place in life, so they don't understand the struggles. But so it's difficult sometimes. So it's important to learn and to grow and to always rethink. It's important to have people that you can talk to about it when it's really stressful, and then always try to get feedback from people who work for you on what it's like to work for you. I might be using the term inappropriately, but we're developing 360 interviews. So you get perspectives from all around. Like my bosses evaluate me, but it's a board that I meet with once a month. So one of the things that they do is they solicit feedback from the department heads on what kind of leader I am. But that's something we're going to try and do with every leader this year, is to give them some feedback on what it's like to work for them, because we recently had a leader that resigned, and after her resignation we found out there were some serious issues with her leadership style that had negative effects on her staff. So you want to get some sort of feedback from your staff. You don't just want to show up and lead them and think you're doing fine, and you might be doing something that absolutely drives them crazy. So it's important to get feedback from your staff on how you're leading, because that can help guide them better.
Well, I think that's all we have. But
Yay!
thank you for
Thank you so
interviewing with us
much.
and giving us your
No
time.
problem.
That was amazing. You said a lot of things that were like directly.
Oh,
Yeah.
What kinds of books are you guys reading in your class?
We had to read the five dysfunctions of
Yeah.